Widmore, and to introduce myself, I am currently enrolled in UCO and I am actually going for computer science, which is what I'm here to talk about. So, I actually made a program of a calculator. So, me being like obsessed with math growing up, like I've always loved math. I think I graduated with a the pre-trig and calc as my last math class. So a lot of people don't get as far as that. I mean, some people do get further. I didn't get the opportunity to, as I did move schools later down the line. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with math. So I wanted to incorporate that with my computer science degree and actually make a calculator. So hopefully everyone kind of understands as to why I kind of did this. And it's not like a science calculator, it's a pretty standard calculator in the fact. Just so that way, to say it's a complex, but it's also a simple understanding of a C# program. So that way you guys can kind of see where to start. I feel like knowing where to start is a lot easier than it is to start off with a complex system and then not knowing what to do later on. So let's get into it. So as you can tell, my title is calculator. So about this is that typically if you've ever had a problem with a mathematical problem and you could never solve anything in your head, or uh, you feel like, oh, you need to go to the grocery store, or you need to go to a restaurant and you need to do like 20%, or you need to do like um, simple equations. It's like add your totals up and add like grocery amounts and stuff like that. I think that having a calculator on hand is really handy in the fact that a lot of people cannot do it on top of the head. But I mean, it took me a while, I will say. It took me a while to really learn how to calculate things off on top of my head. So using a calculator really helped me to get to that point. So I feel like making a calculator was really complex in the sense that a lot of people have issues with just doing simple math sometimes. The solution, like it says down there, is that a lot of people use calculators to solve any situation when it comes to mathematical equations. So, like adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. A lot of that is just simple mathematical equations and problems that a lot of people can't do in their head. And so, this is my solution. So, a lot of the code that I used was C#, and I also used Windows Forms application with like a net framework. And right here off to the side is actually a little bit of what my calculator looks like. So right here, I designed it as I am a girl. I love to do a lot of things that are girly, but I made the background change and everything like that. I changed the background to the color that I specified that I wanted. I was able to change right here the actual title and everything like that to actually incorporate a different color scheme of rather than just a white like text. And then I use a text box right here as like being able to calculate. So it's able to insert these numbers. So as you click these numbers and everything like that, and then you do like times, divide, add, subtract, you're able to actually calculate those and actually insert it into this box. And I'll show that later whenever I actually show you the code and everything like that, and I show you how it runs based off of that. But you can tell that I actually put like a standard calculator form to it, and I was actually able to incorporate the parentheses and clear entry and everything like that. So I put a lot of effort into adding all that kind of stuff into it. Let's see. So this is my code off to the side right here. It's just not the full code, but it is a very standard code in the sense that it is it shows you the beginning of it. So the reason that, a lot of the time adding a number, subtracting a number, rather it being big, small, like a percentage, a lot of that stuff is very complex. So, you know, a computer running and making sure that it calculates a right program inside of a computer when a computer is already a math equation itself is very complex actually. So which is kind of interesting to think about. So the second reason is that as a calculator, they do addition, subtraction, and I know that I've mentioned this multiple times, that that's very complex, and the fact that, you know, I mean, this would help kids young and older. This would help older adults to use for the fact that, as you get older, sometimes you do need to keep rebuilding that brain strength because sometimes you kind of tend to lack it as you grow in different aspects. But my third reason is that I think that any math problem is complex. So when you think about from standard math as like from a first grader to what I have to do currently, so next semester I have to actually learn how to do calculus. So I mean, going from a first grader standpoint to an actual like college level standpoint, I mean, it's pretty complex and it gets even more complex as you keep going down the line. So now that you have an understanding is the fact that the reason I think that this is a complex statement is because of calculation is what we need in math, and so it's very complex. Anyways, so I will get out of this and then let's go down to my source code. So let's first look at the design. So I was able to actually put on here, as you can tell from the picture that I showed you, this is all the buttons right here. And then whenever you double click it, it'll go to the actual code. But yeah, whenever you can click on this, this is called a label. So a label just basically just kind of sits there and it just kind of displays what you want it to be named sometimes. Right here, you can go up here. From here, we're going to go over to the actual code itself. And you can notice that like around here, so a lot of this is to bring in things on your computer. So it's going to help you, it's going to draw on the system. It's going to use the system's text. It's going to use the system itself to actually, bring in that kind of data and stuff like that so you can actually form a calculator. So as you can tell, namespace just means that it's the name of your project. And then from there, you're going to go down and you're going to look at this. Form 1 is the name of your design. So as you can tell, it says Form 1 right here. That's going to be the name of your thing. And then right down here, you're going to create a private string. So that just means that it's initiating basically the current calculation. So current calculation just means that your results, whenever you're done calculating, so for example, going back over here, and then we'll hot reload this, or just restart it. Okay, so current calculation would just be like 1 plus 1 equals, 2. So 2 would be your current calculation as for the fact that, that's what we're looking for. That's the result we're trying to get at whenever we're at the calculation. So let's exit out of there. So from there, you will notice that after I initiated it, I made a button click. So button click just means that it initiates, and not really initiates, but it kind of, calls in a click. So whenever you go over here, you can come over here, click on this, and you can actually make it where the actual button, whenever you're clicking in the program or the application, it'll click on it. So Let's start it up again. So when you click on it, it's going to click on 2. So whenever you click on it, it's actually going to produce 2, which is nice. So that's what button click is actually used for. It's actually going to tell you, it's going to click on the button for you so it can produce what you want it to click. Okay, so from there, you can notice that I have like form load. You notice that I have button 2 click, button 3 click. All these are clicks. They're called clicks. So button click, it's going to take all the buttons of every single button and you're going to assign it. So from here, you're going to take it, you're going to click on one of these, you're going to bring this out, and you're going to go to properties down here, and you're going to go to the click. Let's move this over. So from click, you're going to, you'll click on the little arrow, or not the arrow, but whenever you click on it, you're going to click on click, and then it's going to pull up this down arrow. So from here, you're going to click on that, and then it's going to give you some options. So when you go to your options, you're going to click on button click, because button click, as you can see right here, let's exit out of here. As you can see from here, notice that your text box result and down, not down here, but from here, I actually renamed this. So coming back over here and going to properties, and then coming over here, scrolling down, notice that I actually named this as text box result. So I was able to associate each other with it. So when I associated result to a current calculation, it's going to produce that button to the actual result. So basically you're going to get what you clicked. From there, I actually ended up going down here and I made a button equals. So notice that you always need an equal sign on a calculator. So on a calculator, this button basically means that it's producing an equal. So when you calculate something and you do want to read from your, it's going to read from your system. So like ones and zeros, if you put in an example, so like everything's is 1 and 0s. So like A will be represented as like, for example, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, or something like that. So, or 0, 0, 0, 1. Anyways, but from there, it'll read that and then it'll calculate it together, and then it's going to produce, you know, that format. And then it's going to produce 2 for us. So the computer reads it and makes sure that it actually understands what it's reading, and then it's going to produce what we asked for. And then from there, and also on here, so I actually put in there exception. So it's going to catch anything that's not gonna, if it doesn't calculate, it's going to result into 0. So anything it does calculate, it's going to give the right amount, but if it can't calculate, it's going to give it a 0, or it's actually going to just say error at that point. And then come down here to button clear click. So button clear click, just pretty standard if you really think about it. So as you seen on a calculator, a lot of times is that there's a clear button. So this button, you'll just use it if you need to ever clear something. So you click start, so you do 1, and then you'll click clear, and it'll go back to 0, just because, you know, whenever you clear something, everything's just going to go back to 0. 0 just means 0. So the next thing from there is that I did is I ended up putting a clear entry. So a clear entry, is where you do 1 and then you do clear and it clears it and it becomes blank. So the difference between clear entry and clear is clear just clears it out so you can continue calculating, whereas clear entry just means that it clears out the whole thing. So whenever you do a calculator, there are 2 options where you can double click the clear, which means that you can actually clear the whole thing and you can start all over, or there's just clear and you click it once and it just clears what you were typing, which is kind of nice. And I'm glad that I incorporated it in there because I really like the fact that a lot of the time I mess up whenever I'm trying to calculate numbers, and knowing the fact that I can add up something and then clear it out and not have to clear it completely out, it's really useful. But yeah, so that kind of ends on where I am on my program and everything like that. And I mean, all I can say is that I think that calculators are a must need no matter where you're at. And a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, put like applications of calculators out there. You do have to be very cautious, knowing from the side fact that a lot of the times a lot of people use calculators as like a hacking way to get hacking stuff, but just be very diligent on that kind of stuff. But a lot of the times it's needed. I mean, I think that it's very complex and it's very much needed no matter where you're going and no matter where you're at. So, but yeah, I hope that you guys liked the presentation and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.